exactly the way they did it before. Hodgkins did it.
Is that how they did that before they put fresh?
Go right up over the sidewalk, right out, set on.
Yeah.
And the question,
You can and reach out.
right, and the question that's been asked that hasn't been answered is, can we leave it there for the next time? Or do we have to pull it back out again? Again, the whole thing, if you pay for it, it'd be nice if it paid for something more than.
Yeah, they're not gonna.
They'll make you go.
Well, you gotta ask, right?
I know.
Alright. How about the next one, Matthew?
Wait a minute. If they do to us if we do not do this, what is the ramification?
We don't know.
You don't know.
Theoretically, they could come and do it themselves and send us the bill and make us pay, theoretically.
Yeah, but you don't have to pay it. What happens if you don't pay it?
Well, we don't know. We don't know.
They'll take our food.
Yeah, the other thing I want to mention tonight is the inspection of the pedestrian bridge over Violet's Dam. And we're just writing that down, and we talked about that tonight, so that we
It's
can.
already on.
It's on here. It's on
So
here.
let's stop right there, Matt, and hear what Barry's got to say.
Joel, you made a comment about moving slowly on that. Is there a fear that if we get that gate open and they inspect it, they're gonna saddle us with required repairs to this, that once again, we won't want to afford?
I think we're moving deliberately, let's call it deliberately instead of slowly, because A, we resent being treated this way. And our experience from 2006 tells us that there's plenty of horsepower behind the idea that all dams are evil and should be taken out. And I don't think very many people in this town believe that about that particular facility. We had a great year with volunteer labor and tire, running the Violet's pool, the way many of you remember it working as a kid, without the swimming, I will admit, but we had this formal letter of deficiency that could ultimately lead to daily fines if we don't do something. You know, they gave us a big long list of things that we had to do immediately, and we negotiated that down to one thing a year. That's kind of what our strategy is, and it may not work. But I think it will, because we've got a legislature who's quite active and vocal, and I don't think he's going to let them run too roughshod over us.
And the other thing to know is that these letters of deficiencies and requirements that cost hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars on these old dams are flooded all over the state. One of them is the dam at the Colony Mill in Keene and Ashwell at River Park. That has this same problem. It has to be spilled, it has to be, and they want, it doesn't seem to be a sensitivity in DES for that these are landscape assets. People like them. Still water is pretty. It reflects flowers. That doesn't happen.
Okay.
And,
Alright. How about the next one, Matt?
What's the next one, Matt?
It's getting late.
see if the town of Alstead will vote to authorize the selectmen to dispose of a lien or tax deeded property in a manner other than as provided in RSA 8042 as justice may require. I don't know what that means. What does
Glenn
that mean?
does.
Say it in English, would you?
Yeah.
This is prescribed language. Basically, historically, when the town winds up owning a property through tax forfeit, there's one way to sell it, and that's by sealed bid. We've tried this a couple of times with disappointing results. This warrant article, again, prescribed intense language, not understood by mortals, would allow us to use something like municipal to get the word out worldwide that we had a piece of land for sale in Alstead. And if our experience with that old Ford tractor is any indication, this will bring us some real dough instead of some.
Well, either way, it gives you a better.
It gives you context and it doesn't cost you anything.
Right, it doesn't cost you anything, gives you better exposure.
How much land do we own?
Quite a bit. A lot of small little lots. And we're
Chapter
gonna-
and verse in the back of the last town report. We sell it all if we can.
I agree.
Let's do it.
That's my plan.
What I don't agree with is that a number of years ago, we had several hundred acres out on the dam woods that, beyond Wellman Pond, that went up to this bid process that we're trying to avoid, and it went for $4,000. Right, it was all the land behind the backside of Rogers Road.
I'm with you there.
Better off keeping it than giving it away.
We went through this process right before the crash and got an insultingly low number on a building lot in East Alstead. And fortunately, we didn't sell it for that. We hung on to it. Because the carrying cost is much less than we think the difference would be when we finally get market for it.
Yeah, the next one on this page is by petition. shall we adopt a provision whereby the governing body for budget committee shall establish the base budget for fiscal year 2014, not including warrant articles, to be raised by local taxes in an amount of $1,510,000, approximately the base budget for the 2012 budget year, not including warrant articles. We have had some information from our town council that says there's some problems with the wording of this. If I remember correctly, one of the things is that if this passes, it can't do anything until the following year, 2015, which this is asking.
No, that's the other one.
That's not.
That's the other one.
This is just.
Well, then I shouldn't be talking about this, somebody else should. They know what we're talking about.
Well, I know what's on it, I don't know what's on it. Where is it? Where's the lawyers? Want to read it? Oh my goodness gracious.
So here's what we need to do to make sure these things are legal. And it means we need to do this on February 1st, because if we pass them in their current condition, they won't have the effect that the petitioners intended. Simple as that. The language is a little imprecise, but the good news and the bad news at the same time is the statute spells out the language that you gotta use. Let's do that. Let's put it on the warrant and see what people want to do. I'll remind you that it's a high bar, it's 3/5.
Not this one.
Hasn't been a problem in this town before, and we can do it. Part of our problem as administrators of the warrant is that we have two articles like this, both submitted by petition. We have a legal and moral obligation to put them on the warrant, but we want to make sure that the people who come in February know that one of them at least has defects in the language that would make it unusable.
It seems to me anybody who petitioned this article should meet with Linda and get a copy of this legal
They got
advice.
one. They came.
All set?
What you're talking about, this is the 3%.
No, there's another
The other
one
one.
too. There's two of them.
So if we clean up the language,
There is no cleanup.
legally problematic, then would we have to go out and get the signatures on it?
No, ma'am. Nope. Nope. We make it right on February 1st, and it shows up on the warrant on March 11th exactly that way. Good to go. It's a great process because there's no sneaking around in the back, smoky back room kind of politics involved. It's straight up, yes or no. I like it. And we can amend the dollar amount or the percentage figure at that meeting in February as well, as your pleasure requires. Simple majority on that, on the amendment.
To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $215,000 to be placed in the following capital reserve funds: Highway 75, Fire 75, Town Hall 10, Shed Quarter 25, Ambulance 2,500, Police 2,500, and Bridges 25,000.
Now, last year, you had suggested that potentially they each be broken out separate. I remember that.
Very good.
So, we asked each department head what their opinion of that was. They wanted to stay together. So, I understand, I just want to make sure you know that we did follow up on it.
Thank you. Actually, I would like to make a suggestion, is that we move the money from the town hall of $10,000 to the ambulance. There's a good possibility we may have to be replacing the ambulance pretty soon, and they're not cheap. We only have
$93,696.91.
almost twice that.
And they're like close to $225,000.
So that's a decision for February 1st, and that's when you'll decide whether that one is 0 or 20.
You guys have the option too to take our recommendation here to move that side.
So this is just a number that you had from last year. I'm prepared to amend this number come February to 35,000.
Okay?
You have that power. Mr. Nalbanco.
Yeah, I guess, so to Les's point, so on the question of whether they should all be lumped together or separate articles, are we gonna be able to vote on that in February?
Yes, you could.
Boy, I don't know the answer to that question. I will ask, and I will find out.
Well, I guess maybe get a consensus of the room here on that question, on whether.
So, if I understand Rich right, and I think I do for once in my life, the question before the room is, would you prefer to see each one of these reversions to capital reserve funds as a standalone warrant article. There's a nod, it's sort of your general belief that they would be more democratic if they were single lines.
Yes.
That's what we'll aim for. I don't know that we can do it, but that's what we'll aim for.
Well, we discussed that.
I don't know, so I'm not gonna offer an opinion, which is one thing that separates me from every other man you've ever met.
So if we can't do it, you'll tell us why.
Yeah, because the state said so.
So can you put a dollar amount on it? Like,
Absolutely.
when you put 2,500 for the ambulance, and with 75, why not, you don't wanna, knock the ambulance for 2,500 over 75, so can you put a dollar?
No matter what happens to the standalone or group together discussion, you guys have the power to change any one of these numbers in any direction you wanna go. Make them bigger, make them smaller, make them zero. It's all up to you. Remember, that's not necessarily what will happen, but that is absolutely what will show up on the ballot in March.
And it's one article, they all pass or they all fail.
Right. That is the problem that we're trying to address.
But isn't that something to work out at the deliberative session?
Exactly my point.
Right.
He's mentioned that.
To the extent that the law allows, that's what we will do.
But we appreciate you catching on. All right. So, Matt, next one, Matt.
Oh, God, yes. You must.
I must.
See if the town will urge that the New Hampshire State Legislature join nearly 500 local municipalities and 16 other states, including all other New England states, in calling upon Congress to move forward a constitutional amendment that, number one, guarantees the right of our elected representatives and the American people to safeguard fair elections through authority to regulate political spending, and two, clarifies that constitutional rights were established for people, not corporations. That the New Hampshire congressional delegation supports such a constitutional amendment. That the New Hampshire State Legislature supports such an amendment once it is approved by Congress and sent to the state for ratification. The record of the vote approving this article shall be transmitted in writing by the selectmen to Alstead's congressional delegation and to Alstead's state legislators and to the President of the United States, informing them of the instructions from their constituents within 30 days of the vote by petition. And that's basically, is Chris here?
No.
Yeah, it's, what's that case? Somebody versus somebody.
Citizens United.
Citizens United, that's the one. To fix Citizens United, which the Supreme Court actually did that.
Well,
Sort of.
this will live or die based on your vote in March. We won't be changing the language on this one. No, I mean, I suppose you could, but I can't imagine why you would. There's no money involved.
Present to represent this article.
I would think so, but I couldn't guarantee it.
I think he's out of town. The one that's voted.
It's gonna have a selectman approved or whatever.
Nope, no money involved. We're not allowed to express an opinion.
I have a question about the selectmen approve. I know you have to do it, recommend or don't recommend, but can you put like 2 to 1?
Yeah.
Can we do that? Because I feel like every time it says a selectman approved, it's 2 you or 1, you automatically think you really want it.
Well, if we do disagree with each other, we do put that down.
You do.
We are disagreeing.
We are disagreeing on a couple of them.
That's a no.
Why? No, it's a good question. It's a good question, and I really don't think it's fair of the legislature to insist that we do this with no
I don't think so either.
nuance, but there it
But
is.
you don't have to say you recommend it either. Just,
We have to say something, that's,
Right, the next one, shall we adopt the provisions of RSA 32:5-D and implement a tax cap whereby the governing body or budget committee shall not submit a recommended budget that increases the amount to be raised by local taxes based on the prior fiscal year's actual amount of local taxes raised for the base budget, not including warrant articles, by more than 3% or $60,000, whichever is less. Same story as the last one. I'm hoping to emerge from that meeting in February with one of these set to 0 and the other one with the language perfect, so that the voters will have a chance to do what it is they want to do.
It's my understanding that was taken directly from the RSA, it's totally directly.
Excellent. One of them I know needs fixing according to the lawyer.
We'll verify it, but that's fine.
We'll make it go, we'll make it right.
But this is gonna be done
This one's
before
okay.
February meeting.
Right.
Whatever changes we make to this language will be made in the room in February. Not by me, but by you all you all. Richard.
With the right language.
Yeah, I understand some towns in New Hampshire have imposed caps. I'm wondering if you all have any information on how that's working.
I don't, but I'll ask the LGC if that's the case and what I can find out. We received these yesterday, I believe.
Yes, I think summer's work maybe.
Right. The thing to remember about the cap though is this is a cap on what's proposed. Okay? So that means that we can't bring a budget that's, the selectmen wouldn't be able to bring a budget that's more than 3%. However, if during the deliberative session, the voters decided to make the increase 10%, then it would be 10%. It's only the onus on us of what we bring initially. It's not the tax that spending can't go up more than 3% ever. It's that what we bring isn't more than 3%.
Yeah, and it also doesn't restrict you from moving stuff from the operating budget to warrant articles.
Yeah, the legislation doesn't want to restrict your right to appropriate any amount of money you think you need. By the same token, it's not restricting you from approving any amount of money you think you don't want.
Right. Right.
At some point, we will be mailing something theoretically intelligent that speaks about an explanation of all these warrant articles once they firm up before the actual vote, like we have always done for the last 10 years. To see if the town will vote to purchase a 1-ton truck with stainless steel body for the DPW department and to raise and appropriate the sum of $110,000 for this purpose, and to further authorize the withdrawal of $110,000 for this purpose from the Highway Capital Reserve Fund, which has $228,641.03.
This is to replace a truck that we bought in 2002.
We were keeping running with 2001 parts.
And the target of this warrant article looks just pretty much exactly like that Dodge that we bought last year that we decided we liked, although it's early days.
But you can't get the same color, so I don't know what the color of this thing is going to be.
Pink.
Yeah, I know.
So what would you do if
Truck
this?
part, I have no bad feelings about the truck, but the body, the stainless steel body, I wasn't for the stainless steel body on the other one. It's all computerized, you know, they come back down a hill somewhere and wreck the back of the stainless steel body. You know, we have to ship it away to get it fixed, you know, so we'd be without a truck.
There's
You know,
nothing
we could
computer.
have-
There's nothing computerized on that truck. Nothing.
Well, truck.
The truck itself has got computers in it, but the body is just a body. It has no computers nowhere. Nothing. Just hydraulics. Nothing.
Hey, just what's stainless steel, not the cab and the frame, just
Just the body, so I can take that body off and put on another chassis.
How do you know it's gonna fit?
Of course it's gonna fit. It's a 1-ton, it's 10 foot. It's the same.
Well, they can change all kinds of different design. I mean, what's the usage if you get out of it with the cab that you have? 10 years?
That's what we've got out of the other two. Yes.
10 years.
Not very much. Not very much. If you look at it, I can give you the exact number just so I can get it. But the other one was $3,000 difference from stainless to painted, and you gotta paint it every year just about.
So if this doesn't pass, what would you do? I mean, how would the department look with one less truck?
That's our main salt truck. So that's-
February, stainless versus steel. February. All right. Next.
To see if the town will raise and appropriate $6,000 for the inspection of the Violet Pool pedestrian bridge. That won't paint it. It won't fix it. It will inspect it. $6,000 for a
That was the
structural
low bid by
engineer.
a lot. Yeah, we got bids upwards. what was it, 18,000?
Yeah.
Does any of that come back to the trust fund?
No. The bridge, the water, the dam, all of that stuff is the town's responsibility. They got the shoreline that way.
Who said it needed inspection?
The insurance company is after that.
See, this is what the world has come to. Some agency somewhere wants to know. And last year we did the flow study for DES to see how much water is going over there compared to 10 years ago when we did a flow study. And that was, what was that? $9,800.
What?
So I'm gonna be the bad guy here and say, at what point are we gonna realize that, well, it's a really nice idea, we cannot afford that, it's cool.
You will decide that when you decide that in this room.
Maybe a creek going, we can put a couple picnic tables, but,
It all happens in this room.
Gets voted on.
yeah, it's a really nice idea, but so is a swimming pool, in-ground swimming pool at home, you know? I know I'll never go to one.
Next one, to see if the town will vote to establish a capital reserve fund under the provisions of RSA 35:1 for the transfer station. Raise and appropriate the sum of blank to be placed in that fund. This has to do with the truck,
And the building. So we got a truck that's gonna need replacing someday, and you probably wouldn't recognize it unless you looked for it, but I can show you what to look for. If you look at the big lean-to where the dumpsters are for the recycling, and I hope everybody's using recycling stuff, because you know where that is. If you go up to the top there, and you look back at it, or look at the end of the building, you can see that the building is kind of doing this out the back. It's not a big deal. Yeah. But it could be and will be, so we're going to start setting money aside to fix the things that we know we have to fix, because that seems like the right thing to do.
See if the town will vote.
Whoa, wait a minute, hold on.
Could you maybe give us an estimate of what you think, say, the building and others, and the truck and other things that you are reserving against, do you have some idea?
Well, Ernie was pretty adamant that it'd be a used truck, and what's the number there?
We're figuring, so to get rid of the other truck and trade it in, somewhere around 2019, about $60,000.
How much?
$60,000.
60,000.
Yeah, for another used truck.
Yeah. So we're going to start making that, if we get this capital reserve fund approved, we're going to start making that part of Langdon's bill to help fund the capital reserve fund. Okay? All right, Matthew, next.
See if the town will vote to name the selectmen as agents to expend funds on all capital reserve accounts per RSA 35:15, so that if needed, in case of an emergency, the town does not have to wait until the next town meeting.
John Mann, we haven't heard from you all night.
Well, I just don't know what this means. Does this mean town meeting, regular town meeting, or can you call a special town meeting?
We can, but you gotta generally go to the court to get that done. What this piece of legislation, which we did not invent, allows to happen is for us to call a public hearing, properly posted, and say, look, this is what happens in October when the culverts get condemned. We've got a condemned culvert, we got this much money in the capital reserve fund, we seek your authority to spend that money mid-year to do that repair, so that instead of having Hill Road, pick any road you like, instead of having any road you like closed for 10 months, it's closed for 2 months. That's what this is about. This doesn't mean you're giving the selectmen the checkbook for the capital reserve funds, although I think that would be excellent. Mr. Nalvanko.
So emergency, how's emergency?
It's defined by your people at the public hearing. Money doesn't come out of the capital reserve funds without your permission. The problem, I could see this going badly wrong if we had a big capital project in the middle of the year and nobody showed up at the public hearing to say yay or nay. When the next town meeting rolled around, people would be pretty unhappy, one way or the other.
So you would actually take a vote if 50 people showed up, and supermajority would?
People in the room. People in the room. Simple majority.
So we'd like to believe that we would only do this in a case when it was kind of a no-brainer.
Well, I would probably tend to agree that you three are not going to always be there.
It's true. And I'm not even sure we're that trustworthy. Mr. Rogers.
Okay, thank you, sir. This bit describing RSA 35:15, that doesn't seem to be completely written, because if it were, it would say that it would be a hearing.
It'd be a lot more words if it were taken out of the.
So we should all read 35:15 and understand.
You should all be reading the book of Job, in my opinion. Mr. Mann!
Are you allowed to put in the ballot, so that voters show up, a description of 3515 or a recitation of 3515?
We are indeed, and we shall. And remember, this is a proposal, this isn't a requirement. We can say no, and nothing terrible will happen.
Matthew,
Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate as an operating budget, not including appropriations by special warrant articles and other appropriations voted separately, the amount set forth on the budget posted with the warrant or as amended by vote in the first session for the purposes set forth herein totaling $1,629,128. Should this article be defeated, the operating budget shall be $1,634,348, which is the same as last year with certain adjustments required by previous action of the town of Alstead or by law, where the governing body may hold one special meeting in accordance with RSA 40:13, 10 and 16 to take up the issue on a revised budget and school. So the crucial part of that is if the budget is voted down, the default budget is slightly more left. Which is the ghastly part of SB 2. Yes.
But on February 1st, this budget could be reduced and improved.
Yes.
that's right.
You could have it,
Yep.
you could take any line here and set it to 0 or triple it. It is entirely within your authority.
But
What you
whatever
can't
happens-
do is anything after February 1st except say yes or no. That's the terrible thing about SB 2.
But if the budget number that's cooked up on February the 1st, whatever the number is, higher or lower, if it fails, it's that higher number.
All right, guys, we got 2 more to go. We're in the home stretch.
Thought that was it.
That's it.
No, there's two more.
To see if the town will, want me to read it?
Yeah, go ahead.
To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $5,000 to purchase 2 electronic signs and to further authorize the selectmen to apply for a grant to cover 50% of or $2,500 of the cost. Those are the signs we talked about earlier. Last one. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $80,000 to pave North Road, finish paving North Road, and the aprons on Old Settlers Road, and that should read Pine Cliff, not Prentice Hill. Typically, we've been spending about $130,000 a year, but have to stage and restage to get the whole 130. We would be spending a lot of money on moving trucks around versus actual pavement, so we held it at the 80 this year, which would finish up North Road and the aprons.
Where do you plan on starting that North Road again?
Pine Cliff. It should say Pine Cliff, not Prentice Hill.
Right.
The town got into trouble one time when they divided up geographic location of where they were working, and one road got shortened completely while the other one got completed. I don't recommend that if you're going to be in 2 different geographic locations, I would specify the monies allocated to each so there's no confusion.
We could do that.
We have them numbers too.
We've got the numbers. We could do it that way.
You've got the numbers already.
Yeah, we do.
Do it.
We could do it that way. Fair enough.
Question over here.
It says here, the North Road and Settlers Apron. What are you gonna do on North Road? Where are you gonna start?
Right by the church there and come back up through and overlay all the way to the end of the tar.
You're gonna shim it first?
The bottom half has already been shimmed,
There
but
you
the
go.
upper half, it needs to be
There
shimmed
you
and
go,
then
right.
overlaid. The 2 aprons shimmed and overlaid.
Yeah.
Put another apron on the other end of Old Settlers where you come onto 123. Get rid of that. What is that hill?
In the middle now. Now, just because I want to know from my own knowledge, but I was told that the reason we're paving the aprons is because you don't want to pull the grader out from the road, because then you'd have to pay somebody to stop traffic while you.
No,
drive
no.
that road.
You know how the traffic drives on 123 or any of them other roads? Anytime I go by an intersection, I like to put an apron on it. So when you're grading, you're coming up to a square cut of tar instead of a 45 or whatever, and you're out in the travel lane of 123 or whatever road you happen to be